I've been trying to determine between a cooler Yeti, Igloo, or a Brute. I don't have a Brute here, but I have a Yeti and an Igloo 55 Sportsman and a Yeti 65. So I got 20 pounds of ice in each, and I'm going to compare it to my Rubbermaid cooler that I've had for years. I'm going to dump the ice into them and 6-pack of beer in each, and then record each day what the differences are as far as the ice melt and the retention of the ice and how long it can stay. Time is 6:34. There's the 20 pounds of ice and the 6 beers in each. I'm going to go ahead and shut their lids. There we go. We'll open them up every day, approximately the same time. And then I will do a review on the handles, the design, the build of the cooler, and the measurements of the coolers as well. Day 1, we are about 6 hours later than we originally did it. So this is the Yeti. Looks like the coolers and beers are sitting on the bottom. This is the Igloo. And here is the Rubbermaid. Igloo, Yeti. It's about 12:30. We started this at 6:30 p.m. yesterday. It's 12:30 a.m. There we are at the end of day 3. It's the Yeti. The Igloo. And the Rubbermaid. Here we are on day 4 of the Yeti, Igloo, Rubbermaid test. Really just is to compare the Igloo to the Yeti, and then I just wanted to see what my Rubbermaid cooler that I've used forever did in comparison. Here we go. Day 4. Yeti first. As you can see, there's ice floating on top. There's one layer of ice. Water is almost up to the tip, to the end of my finger. Mountains are still blue. That's the Yeti. This is the Igloo. The Igloo by far, its water is actually only about 2 inches deep. I think it's because it's actually bigger in the base than the Yeti is. There's only a little bit of ice left in the Igloo. There's a lot of open areas with no ice. Water's still very cold. And we're going to look at the Rubbermaid. The Rubbermaid actually has no ice left in it Water is still ice cold. Mountains are still blue, but no ice left at all. Day 5. Looks like I need to pull it away from the wall. No ice in the Yeti. Mountains are still blue, water is still cold. There's about 2.5 inches of water in there. Up to about the middle of that joint right there. And the Coleman, or the Igloo. Imagine this guy's going to be out of ice too. Yep, no ice. About 2 inches of water. It's up to that knuckle. Water's cold, but... And then this one was out of ice yesterday. Still out of ice. Mountains are not blue anymore. Water's chilled, but not cold. Day 5, all of them are out of ice. I've ran my experiments on the ice between the Igloo Sportsman 55 and the Yeti 65. Yeti 65 had more ice on day 5 than the Igloo did. It was very, very close comparison. So I wanted to take a look at the differences in the two coolers, so maybe it can help you figure out which one would work better for your needs. Here are the latches on the coolers, the Igloo being on the left and the Yeti being on the right. As you can see here, the Igloo latch is much larger in size, thickness than the Yeti. Yeti's much thinner, smaller handle, doesn't have the nice ergonomic little grips, curved edges that the Igloo does. They both latch the same, pull down and latch, but again, the Igloo's larger than the Yeti. The Igloo also seems to be recessed back into the cooler, kind of protected from the sun, a little bit of shade covering. It's recessed back in to the side of the cooler. As you can see here, this is the Igloo. This is the Yeti. The Yeti is right on the surface of the cooler. Could be bumped, rubbed, caught on things if you're carrying it or storing it. Here's a look at the handles and the drain plugs. Igloo being on the left, which is a nice plastic handle with rubber grip. It also has nice clean surface for here, and it has a tie down point right here as well, for strapping down or a hook of some kind. So here's the handle. Here's the drain plug on the Igloo. Igloo drain plug is very large and connected by a chain, so it is not going anywhere. There's the size of the drain plug. It has a nice little storing spot that's cut out in the handle right here, so when you are draining your cooler, it stays out of the way. The Yeti 65 also has the latch hook right there for tie downs. If you reach underneath here for a handle, these are the knots and these are the bolts for the rope handle, which is on the Yeti versus a hard handle. So this rope handle here, I guess it gives you more options if you want to have two people carry it, or maybe if you wanted to tie the lid down with a strap between the two. Just a different style handle here. Then we also have the drain plug. If I get that to stay. The drain plug on the Yeti is significantly smaller. It does not have anything holding it together, but it does have holes running through the sides so you don't have to unscrew it all the way. But if it does get vibrator fall out, if you're driving, if you're draining the back of a truck or something, it could pop out. So that's the Yeti drain plug, Yeti handle, Igloo drain plug, Igloo handle. Here's a closer look at the actual tie-down ports that we looked at with the lid open. So as the lid comes down, these tie-down ports are kind of buried under the lid. It's got a little groove here on the top of the lid, so if you want to run a strap over it, it'll help. You can ratchet strap it down and hold it in place, or if you have some sort of ratchet strap or something that can go through this port and hold down on the cooler, you can do that. This is the Igloo. Smaller opening there. And this is the Yeti. Its opening is much larger. It still has the recessed plastic, and this piece goes all the way through this handle. It also has a groove on the lid for strapping down and tying down. So if you run a strap over the top of the coolers, it will stay in place. If you're strapping it down to a back truck bed or to a hitch haul or something like that, it would stay. So both of them have the ratchet strap grooves as well as strap downs or tie down points on each side. Wanted to dig closer into the handles of the Igloo. Found out that they're just plastic tips held in with these screws here. Not sure how the integrity of that would last. If it, we live in the desert, so sun and heat really has a hard time on plastic. It tears it up pretty bad. This does have the nice clean lifting handle here. Here are the coolers open. Let's take a look at the hinges. First, the Igloo. Pardon my shadow. So this is the Igloo. This is the hinge on the Igloo. Looks like it's pretty solid, locked into place. There's some gapping. Same here on the one, but it's a pin that was running all solid through. Looks like a rivet style pin on both ends. It's the hinges. Now I want to compare the hinges over on the Yeti. They're much larger in length. The pin runs completely through. It's one solid pin that runs all the way through the entire cooler. And they are also rivet ends on each far end. I'll get a wide shot so you can see the two differences between the hinges. I don't know if that helps or not. Now looking at the insulation. Insulation on the Yeti is a double strap of rubber. It's flapped over. Goes all the way around. Lid. Going over to the Igloo. This is flimsier rubber. Tackier though, has a little bit more stickiness to it, like it's softer or would adhere a little better. Same thing, it's two pieces, goes all the way around. Lid. Two side by side. Alright, so if we're thinking about wall thickness, I don't have any specs on the Igloo. The Igloo does not provide any specs on the Igloo. But just by reaching in, and a hand on the outside as well as a hand on the inside between these sliding rails here, the Igloo actually has thinner walls than the Yeti by feel. Now this is only something that I'm judging with just by holding my hands. You can see here that the Yeti has smaller grooves for dividers than the Igloo. The Igloo's grooves are rather large. They're about 2 inches wide, tapering down to about 1 1/4 inches, 1 3/4 at the bottom. So when I'm measuring the thickness, I'm measuring the thickness from inside of this groove to the outside wall by touching it on both sides with 2 hands. Now this one, because the grooves are thinner, I'm not doing that. I'm feeling like this. It also would help with insulation, although it does sound hollow when tapping on the cooler. This one sounds solid. This is the Igloo. A little bubbling right here in the plastic. Seems like it's a little bit of a soft spot. Something weird happening there. These are all fine. The rest of the sides is just this one corner. The Yeti claims to hold 14.3 gallons. The Igloo claims to hold 13.75 gallons. I have not found a way to test this yet, so hopefully I can figure this out, because when you measure the two coolers between the openings, width, depth, and length, they're the exact same, except for one thing. The Igloo is straight down. The sides are straight down, so it's the same width at the bottom as it is at the top. The Yeti is tapered, so it's narrower at the bottom in all directions, in all dimensions, than it is at the top. I'm curious and interested to know how a cooler that is tapered and not the same size at the bottom, which in a sense will make it hold less, claims to hold more. Alright, let's see if I can show you this. The Yeti is measuring in at 23 1/4. 23 to 23 1/4 at the bottom. At the top, inside to inside, it's 24 1/2. Okay? Yeti also, go to the width. It's 12 3/4. Go to the bottom. You're looking at 10 1/2. 10 1/2 inches. The height to the top rim of the Yeti, pardon my, 12 inches. Going over to the Igloo. Height of the Igloo is 12 inches. The width of the Igloo is 25 inches. Actually, let's go from the bottom lip, just in case. From the bottom lip, it's 24 1/2 inches. 24 1/2 inches long for the Yeti, 24 1/2 inches long for the Igloo. They're both 12 inches deep. Going from the bottom lip again, 12 inches. 12 inches wide. If we go from the bottom lip to the bottom lip here, it's 12 inches wide. Okay. Now let's look at the bottom measurement. Here we go, 24 inches. Bottom measurement of the Yeti. So it only loses, even measuring from the inside lip, not this top lip, but right here to right here, losing about a ½ inch. That's all. The Yeti, on the other hand, goes from 24.5 down to 23.25. So if someone can explain to me how a cooler that has less volume can hold more, that'd be a good one. Where does Yeti get their 14 gallons? Where does the Igloo get their 13.75? Well, the scale didn't work because it was overweight. So we're going to transfer the water from the Igloo over to the Yeti and see if they maintain or hold the same amount of water. Water's filled up to this ridge, I mean like right on the edge. So I'm going to go to this edge of the Yeti. Alright, we are almost to the top. We're at the top. There's still water left in the Yeti, or in the Igloo. And the Yeti is full. We're going to dump the rest of the water in there to see how full the Yeti gets. It is 1/4 inch over the line, which means it will overflow. Well, yeah, the lid is touching the water. In conclusion, for the Igloo Sportsman 55 and the Yeti 65 comparison, I am going to have to go with the Igloo, simply because the Igloo seems to be more of the features that I would like as far as their ice capabilities and maintaining ice. They were very, very, very close to each other. I liked the bigger handles on the Igloo, the bigger latches, as well as the boxier construction. It's more stable, easier to pack. The interior is not tapered, so you don't have to worry about losing space when you're packing your cooler from the inside. And it did hold more water than the Yeti, even though the Yeti claims to be 14.3 gallons and the Igloo is 13.75 gallons. You found in the video, you saw in the video, that the actual Igloo held more water, and I don't know where they're getting their measurements from. So in conclusion, I'm going to have to say Igloo it is.
I'm back. I bet you thought this video was done. This comparison was done. Well, guess what? I ended up with the Yeti. Even though in the last video I stated I was going to keep the Sportsman. I liked the Sportsman because of the better and larger latches, as well as the stronger looking handles that actually had a plastic handle that would raise up, and the drain plug. I also assumed to like the Sportsman better because it was the Igloo Sportsman. It was also square inside and not tapered on the interior like the Yeti. But after further examination and looking at my cooler, I noticed that on the Igloo Sportsman there was a side that had started separating from the insulation and it was bubbling out. So I was in the process of taking them both back and exchanging the Igloo Sportsman and exchanging it for a new one that did not have the interior bubbling. And upon examination of 9 coolers, I found issues. Every single one of them either had a bubble or a loose interior where the plastic was actually separating from the insulation. And then after flipping the Igloo Sportsman on its lid and looking at the bottom of the cooler, there were pinholes all over in the bottom of the cooler, exposing the interior insulation, which would allow moisture and water to get up inside of the insulation, mold, mildew, and rot the cooler out. So that was after going through 7 different coolers at 2 different Sam's Clubs, trying to find one Sportsman that was 100%. When you flip this Yeti over, the bottom is clean and pristine, no holes, no exposed insulation, nothing allowing any moisture to get in, exactly like the top of this lid. The top of the lid is perfect. So when you look at the Yeti, the design, the structure, everything is cleaner, smoother, and just really well thought out. Even though some of the features on the Igloo Sportsman were a little more attractive to me, the Yetis all were designed and built with 100% integrity, no loss or no openings to expose any of the interior insulation, allowing for mold, mildew, and deterioration of the actual foam. So here it is, the Yeti. It's been on 2 trips with me already. It's done really well. I've had ice in this cooler for 4 days now, and have been in and out of it constantly, and it's still holding the same bag of ice that I put in 4 days ago. So it does hold ice longer with the more items you have inside of it, which keep the cooler temperature down. So here it is, the Yeti Tundra 65 has won the final outcome and is now my new rugged and tough cooler, even though it was $200 more expensive than the Igloo Sportsman. I found out why. So thank you guys, good luck, and finding the cooler that works for you.